Right, okay. Third time lucky. So, hello everybody, and I welcome all of you back to day 155 of our 1000 Dawns. So, you probably know what the score is by now, but let me just fill you in on what's happened. So, once again, I had a long night shift last night, and basically it meant I got up at about just after 2:30 in the afternoon. So I've only really been up for about less than about 4 hours, I want to say. And because I have like a small family dinner in about an hour's time, and then have to go straight to work, I'm gonna have to keep things relatively short. So let's just get straight to it, shall we? So despite everything that listen, what I find fascinating that's happened over the last couple of days is that even though I feel a little up against it, despite feeling like sometimes I walk and I must admit I must have a face that I've got like the entire world on my shoulders sometimes. Despite that and everything else I could get into, we are still continuing and we are still grafting and we are still working. And it's, to be honest, it's down to a very, very simple matter of thought. Because as we all know, saying and doing are two very, very separate things. And I like to imagine that round about in my early 20s, I was very much starting to become a man who does probably more than he actually says. Because I think you can only, because I live in a world of statistics, facts, and getting paid via results. And it's one of those occasions where, guess what? Results certainly do count for a lot. I may not entirely agree with that, but that's the reality that they are telling me to accept. So therefore, I kind of, even though I don't have to agree with it, I will play by their rules for now, and not necessarily have to stick with them to the end. I think things that will happen over the next couple of weeks will prove this point, to say the least. Now, moving on to other forms of news. So far, it is the 5th of July as of the recording of this. That means by the end of the day, we'll be a whole sixth of our way through the month of July. And by the end of tomorrow, we'll be a whole fifth of our way through the month. And before you know where we are, we'll be at the very end of July as well. In fact, to be honest, whilst we're on the subject, there are a few things I want to talk about when we come to the end of July, because they will prove kind of important to highlight if I don't do it now. By the end of July, the 31st to be exact, it will be a whole 18 months from that point till I turn 30. Yeah. I would like to state for the record right now, the countdown is, and to be fair, this is a thing that I have said since the very beginning of the year. I don't wait for the 10th or the 15th to get the inhibition to start doing something. Why not start now? Why not, do something about it now? Not while it's fresh in your mind, but while you also have the time to do it. I swear to God, the way I keep going on about time, you would have thought I was one of the four horsemen by the end of this. Which one do you reckon I'll be? Pestilence or famine? Or death? Probably one of the three, or whatever the fourth one is. And to be fair, this is something I've taken on board almost immediately, because before the countdown begins, before I turn 30, there is one pretty much major thing I want to have done before I turn 30. And what is it, you may be asking? I want to get to over 1 million subscribers across all of my platforms on YouTube. If I could do that, then guess what? It would have proved that maybe being nearly 10 years on this platform probably have actually meant something. And I do. And guess what? whilst I haven't necessarily talked about my time at university, because it's coming up to 10 years since I started, and I'm not going to. The reasons why I don't really want to talk about it is because, well, it's a long, boring story, and to be honest, it was probably the 3 worst years of my life. And certainly the 3 worst that are certainly to come afterwards. Thankfully, however, those are the worst years of my life, and I never have to think about them ever again. Because everything that went wrong during my time at university, guess what? I am not going to spend the rest of my life being made to pay for what happened. Instead, I am going to become a better man despite everything that happened to me. That's the direction we're heading in. And what better way to kick this all off by everything I have planned before we reach 30. Now, some of those things include, for the benefit of the people who've seen my YouTube shorts, is to probably get my bank loan paid off for getting my new car. The budget towards getting to Las Vegas will certainly continue as before. In fact, to be honest, if we can get to even if we could raise 10 grand before I get to the age of 30, I feel like that is absolutely on pace and will be absolutely on course. And the case about getting to over 1 million subscribers, it's a big undertaking. But if my time on this platform has taught me anything, is that actually, the more I think about it, I didn't need to, stretch myself so thin. I didn't need to be something I'm not. I'm perfectly satisfied in being in my own skin to be anything other than myself. Being myself is, guess what? You know what? I know what I can do. I know what I'm all about. And, well, I have always known that. It's probably the reason why I was successful before. It's because I could just be that, just me, because I'm very, very good at doing that. And putting all of that into consideration, I actually think when I look back on my life in my 20s, it will be one of trial and error, and certainly some rather ambitious ideas. And guess what? I reckon during my 30s, I'll have even more ambitious ideas, and pretty much the sky is the limit, if even that. But as they say, it's all well and good to have these ambitions, but as I've previously stated, I live in a reality of facts and results. And the facts are that my ambitions are only going to be as good as what I can actually produce. With that being said, therefore, there is work to be done. Always more work.